How does multimedia affect your children and your life? Do you have the answer? Multimedia of today has a lot of influence and impact on the children of today's society. I looked up some information from psychology journals and journal articles and a TV news article that actually discussed what it does. This speech is to answer concerns from the data that I've gathered and concerns that I've had and some that I've read from you guys in our previous posts about what you want to know. And you can find out how you can take control and some things your children learn from the media. My little brother, the reason why I chose to want to look more into this was my little brother plays video games, and he has an attitude every time he plays a video game. He's completely disobedient. He doesn't want anything to do with anything but play video games. When video games are taken away, he flips. When my mom says, "You're not allowed to play video games for a week," he's so upset, and it changes his whole aspect. But you take it away from him from a week, and he's fine. He listens. He does what he's told. But then the video games come back into play, and they're violent. They're violent video games. They're Call of Duty, Zombie, all this. He's just completely disobedient. But if he comes home one day and he watches something like the media that the school gives him, like some internet website that will help him with his schoolwork or give him more information, he's fine. He fills us in all with information that he learned, and it's a lot and very intricate detail he'll go into, and he's all into it. And that's the only plus that I get from the media. Some of you may ask, is media good for our kids? Children and adolescents spend more than 6 hours a day with media, according to Dr. Jonathan Wood. I'm just getting out of my adolescence as well, and maybe some of you are too. We are in college. We do spend our time on the internet. We do spend it on the computer. There's no escape, because school brings it in, and the younger generation, it's hard for your parents to keep watching what they do. The kids could wake up in the middle of the night and go and watch something. The parents never know, especially if they're sleepers. But educational media could be better for kids, because some of the TV shows, let's say like Dora, Blue's Clues, they're good for their kids. They teach them math, science, whatever they want, whatever's good. Some even English. And some schools provide websites for the students to help with homework and help them understand better. What we have to watch out for is media violence, though. Media violence is basically the word for violence in media. Self-explanatory, right? Media violence may be associated with 10% of real-life violence. Also, according to Wood, according to the Sage Pub Association website that I looked up, short-term exposure increases the likelihood of physically and verbally aggressive behavior, aggressive thoughts, and aggressive emotions for children. And as they grow up, they're nasty towards their parents and classmates, even then at a young age. And then when they're older, they're aggressive towards people. And a long term could even have a worse effect. Criminal behavior can be shown throughout once they get into that age, like adolescence from 10 and up, all that. It'll definitely show, and the aggressiveness could definitely turn into more violent behavior. There was a study done, I believe, if I read it correctly, in 1977, and 15 years later they followed up on the men and women that they studied. This was done by I believe a college did this, and the American Psychological Association wrote a paper about it, like the results of it 15 years later. The results showed that men who were high TV violence viewers as children were significantly more likely to have pushed, grabbed, or shoved their spouses, to have responded to an insult by shoving people, convicted a crime, and committed a moving traffic violation. Another thing that was on the website said that women who were high TV violence viewers as children were more likely to have thrown something at their spouses, responded to someone who made them mad by shoving, punching, beating, or choking them. They committed some type of criminal act, and they also committed a traffic violation. And the women who were watching this, some of us can be very violent when we get into catfights, and I guess the violence from watching media as a kid affected us, and we can see it in ourselves, but it's a good thing we are seeing it in ourselves. We can change it in our children when we do have them, but we can go all out, and it's quite horrible to watch. But there can be a cure to this. Parents can intervene. They can show the children it's not good. They can limit the violent media that their children are watching, or they don't let them see the violent media until a certain age. Maybe like when you start watching it in your adolescence, it's less. They gotta watch what the kids, or they watch what your kids watch, definitely. Less violence is better than a law. You can't really stop violence in any kind of children, because now there's even violence in music. There's violence in the sound, like the song lyrics. Definitely, there's violence there, and there also is harsh words. According to Eugene Berenstein, 15% of music videos contain interpersonal violence. And that's teaching our kids like way too much violence, I think. Overall, kids are spending too much time on some type of media, whether it be TV, internet, phones, music, whatever, and it's associating them with violence in their life to a point, and there's all different effects between what's watched and what's not. But the parents, they gotta intervene. You gotta see how your kids are gonna react to less violence. It could be a plus or it could be a negative. I think they're doing more research on it. And I'm hoping this data that I compiled gives all of you a better understanding of the effects of media on your children and future children.